Okay, it's 10 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The proceedings of this meeting will be recorded and made available on the internet. We can move on to item 1.2 of our agenda, which is roll call. I'll ask our clerk, Jesse Clark, to please call the roll.
Thank you. Mayor Lamstead, are you present?
I am present.
Deputy Mayor Armstrong?
Present.
Councillor Franzen?
Present.
Councillor Braybrook?
Present.
Councillor Cadigan?
Present.
For staff, we have Donna Taggart, CAO Treasurer.
Present.
Steve Brockbank, Director of Emergency Services.
Present.
Dylan Kosh, Director of Recreation and Facilities.
Present.
Evan Grieger, Director of Public Works.
Present.
Barbara Waldron, Director of Building and Planning, CBO.
Present.
Bianca Dragicevic, Deputy Clerk.
Present.
Rachel Stark, Economic Development and Communications Officer.
Present.
And Jesse Clark, Director of Corporate Services, Clerk is present.
Okay, thank you, Jesse. We can move on to item 1.3 of our agenda, which is land acknowledgement and moment of reflection. We respectfully acknowledge the Trent Lakes in Peterborough County are located on the Treaty 20 Mississauga territory and in the traditional territory of the Mississauga and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaty First Nation, which include Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Rama, Beausoleil, and Georgina Island First Nations. Trent Lake respectfully acknowledges that the Williams Treaty First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. We will now take a moment to reflect on these principles and our duties and responsibilities as members of council. Okay, thank you. We can move on to item 2 of our agenda, which is disclosure of pecuniary interest. If any member of council has a pecuniary interest on an item on the agenda, please disclose it now or anytime during the meeting prior to discussing anything on the item you have an interest in. Seeing no hands, we can move on to item 3 of the agenda, which is the approval of the agenda as circulated. Entertain a motion for same. I see Deputy Mayor Armstrong and Councillor Braybrook for a seconder. Any other conversation? Seeing no hands, we will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. Now we can move on to item 4 of our agenda, which is presentations. Item 4.1 is our strategic plan update, and I'm not sure who's going to take the lead. I believe it will be Donna Taggart, our CAO Treasurer. Go ahead, Donna.
Thank you, and through you. So the purpose of the presentation today is to provide council with an update on the community strategic plan, the economic development, tourism, and recovery strategic plan, and the open spaces master plan. So if you are in agreement, Mayor Lamstead, these updates will be provided to council in 3 parts with an opportunity between each to allow for questions. And you will see that we have all the experts behind me that can help with any of those questions.
Welcome, experts. Welcome our panel of experts.
Yes. So we will start with the community strategic plan, and it included 6 goals. So the first goal was to have the best practices or best policies in place to streamline municipal processes. And this goal is broken down into several key areas that include building and planning, development and housing diversity, short-term rentals, heritage and digitization, and managing physical and digital records. There is also an element to create accessible documents, communications, and reporting, the completion of a service level review for the fire department, a structure review of committees, and a review of the purchasing policy. So we'll dive in to the building, planning, development, and housing diversity. So council did approve new planning services and fees, as well as new building bylaw and fees in 2024. Both of these updates clarified planning and building applications with the creation of a simplified list of requirements. And the website now includes how-to and FAQs for both of these processes. Applications for planning are now vetted at the first step, and building applicants are contacted through email and cloud permit, identifying any outstanding items or issues. There is a review of the zoning bylaw budgeted for 2025. So the municipality did implement the cloud planning module with the county and other lower tiers, but it is currently not being fully utilized, and it is not meeting the needs of the municipality. And I do believe, Barb, you had a little bit to add to that. Do you want to do that now? Thank you.
So
when we wrote this up, I was kind of on the fence about whether we were going to continue with cloud planning or not. And there's kind of been two different camps of things that have been happening. Things that have been happening at the county level with the planning module, which indirectly has been touching all the municipalities because we're all partners along with that. And it has not been going well there. But we were finding at our end that it wasn't like the best tool to be using. And part of so yesterday we had a lot of discussions about this because a question was asked and it kind of prompted going into things a little bit deeper. So one of the issues is that it's a digital platform, but we're still receiving all our applications in hard copy. So it was staff having to take all the hard copy and load it into the digital, and it just was a lot of extra work. One of the things that got clarified for me yesterday was one of the reasons everything is coming in hard copy is because they have to be affidavit signed, and we don't have that digital process currently, but I did talk to the clerks yesterday, and that's definitely a process that can go into place. Just to expand on that, it's a little bit longer of a process, and it's a matter of the other person having, being able to be like on a Zoom call or a Teams call, because they have to see the person, sign the document, and sometimes there's a lot of back and forth is how it was explained to me, but it's not out of the realm to get that up and running. So that was part of the issue. And then we talked more about how we can assist people that still want to do the hard copy, because I have that in my building world. There's just people that don't want to use digital platforms. There's some people that it scares them to use digital platforms. So we have developed a process. My concern about that was I didn't want to ever be caught in a legal position where somebody has said, I never gave you permission to upload that information. So we have a document at the counter where we have the person sign that document, allowing us, acknowledging they are letting us create the porthole for them. And then we do upload all the documents for them. We invite them, and hopefully they do watch the cloud process as it goes along. So we're going to implement that into the planning department, but we're going to take that away from the planning technician's job, and we're going to put that into the planning admin job. So that's going to help with the workload that Derek was stressing out a little bit about, and putting it onto Amber because she's got the building working really, really well. So all that to say that we kind of worked some of the bugs out. So I'm willing to give planning cloud another go for 2025. What I do like about it is that it links everything together. So when I pull up my cloud dashboard, I can see if I'm doing a building permit, I can see Matt's issued a septic permit. I can see a minor variance has gone through on that property. I can see there's a bylaw complaint on that property. Like it links everything. That's what I really like about it. And I think that that's an important thing that we should take into consideration to keep it. The only question that I don't have the answer to, and I will have Friday because I have a meeting set up with Cloud on Friday, is we want to make sure that we can take our planning application and have it digitized the way that we want it done, so that, because it's working really well right now, our application, and I want that mirrored in a digital format, and I want to know, is that going to cost us more money? Because I think that's what the issue is at the county right now. So I will have that piece of information Friday, but based on the other things we worked out yesterday, I'm willing to go for another year with it. That was a long speech, I'm sorry.
No, that's good information. It's nice that they do mesh together because it's important not to miss them steps. Thank you for that comment.
Thanks, Barb. So I can let you know that there is currently a process mapping efficiency review underway through the County of Peterborough for building and planning. And this review is expected to be completed by the fall of 2025. So when speaking to housing diversity, there is a plan to bring draft additional residential unit bylaw to council shortly. And there is an ability to build tiny homes they are already allowed under the building code. So for short-term rentals, council did approve a mandatory registration for all short-term rental accommodations at the March 4th meeting. I can let you know that so far we have had 10 applications, and under this program, we have now approved 8 and 2 are still being reviewed. So for heritage and in consideration of a heritage policy, council did direct staff to prepare a terms of reference for a heritage advisory committee. The municipality accepted applications from the public to join this committee, but council elected to not establish one at this time because there was a lack of interest from the public. So for updates in managing internal physical and digital records, I can let you know that physical records continue to be reviewed and digitized where possible. All roll files in the upstairs vault were reviewed and sorted according to classification code and retention. And corporate services staff now utilize retention notifications to let staff know annually what documents can be destroyed. Of course, our corporate services staff continue to update and improve the records retention bylaw to ensure compliance. And there is a plan to develop a record digitization policy. So as far as digitization of municipal services goes, although there is now an ability to allow tax bills to be sent electronically, the certificate of approval requirement to annually provide a waste pass does not allow for this at this time, but we are still investigating how to do this. Some applications currently available for completion digitally, and that can be directly uploaded or emailed, include burn permits and volunteer firefighter recruitment, building and planning services, the short-term rental accommodation licensing, entrance permits, waste card replacements. There are several forms available through finance and taxation, accounts payable, pre-authorized payment, that type of thing. Community and road grant applications are available online. The report and issue portal is open for bylaw complaints or any complaints. Bid opportunities are now available electronically through bids and tenders, and applications for shoreline purchases, the use of unopened road allowance and road occupancy permits are available. So in the plan requirement to create documents, information, and communications in an accessible document format, I can let you know that a consultant has worked with staff to develop accessible templates and mandatory training for staff. Corporate services staff are moving forward with document remediation services in 2025, and there is a new staff report template created to meet accessibility standards. So the review of the service level review for the fire department was scheduled for 2023. However, this has been bumped to 2026 due to the final firefighter certification deadline. Corporate services reviewed the committee structure as required under the plan and brought forward a report for council on various options, and council directed the creation of an environmental advisory committee. Corporate services staff also brought forward a new multi-year accessibility plan as required under legislation, and they provide annual reporting on this as well. And other progress for accessibility includes the addition of accessible road signs that were installed in 2024. So the purchasing policy review was completed and approved by council, which added new provisions, including new provisions, increased dollar value limits, adjusted timelines, and aligned language. The municipality continues to consider joint tendering with the county and lower tiers if it is beneficial, and there is currently a legal RFP tender underway with the county and the lower tiers, just to let you know. So goal, that was all under goal 1. Sorry, it was the biggest.
Yeah, that's a big goal.
I know. So goal 2 speaks to having infrastructure in place to best support future growth of the municipality, which includes continuing to assess, upgrade, and maintain aging facilities. So this goal is broken down into initiatives that include additional office space, replacing, upgrading, and maintaining aging facilities, and evaluating the need for future land purchases. So there was a concept drawing done for this office for an addition, and that unfortunately came in at an estimate of about $3 million for the addition. So this was significantly higher than anticipated. So there is a plan to move some staff from the upper level to the 2 offices in the basement once all staff have moved into the new 49 building. And this will allow some additional space and improve departmental operations. So the new dedicated mechanic recreation facilities building was completed in 2024, and the new Buckhorn Fire Hall Public Works Depot construction is scheduled to begin in 2025 with completion in 2026. So facilities continue to be assessed and maintained as per the facilities master plan. I can let you know that there has been no further investigation completed on the need for future land requirements, although corporate services did present council with an inventory of all municipal lands available for sale. And this list was made available to all departments as part of this process to determine any potential future use of lands. So goal 3 speaks to communicating the vision of Trent Lakes. And this goal included a rebrand of the municipality, creating marketing initiatives for tourism and communication planning. So the rebrand was completed in 2024, which includes a brand guideline, a booklet consisting of logos, color codes, font uses, and templates for online and printing designs. There is a new website that will be launched in the spring of 2025, and the brand will be used for marketing and communication materials and a sign strategy going forward. So creating marketing initiatives to attract new residents and tourists is ongoing through the promotion of local events, activities, and creating a marketing plan to promote trails and open spaces. There was the creation of 2 plans, an external and internal communication strategy. And at this time, there are 1,300 individuals signed up for the external plan. So goal 4 speaks to the municipality remaining as an employer of choice for existing and new staff. So this goal included continuing to investigate ways to promote work-life balance and make Trent Lakes a great place to work, and also having a succession plan in place where staff can advance, and it also allows for attracting new staff. So just to let you know, there was a 4-year deal signed with CUPE in 2024, and a salary compensation review was also undertaken in 2024. Most staff are now able to work from home as appropriate through the replacement of desktops with laptops, and internal candidates continue to be offered opportunities for advancement. And there is a succession plan scheduled for 2025 to be completed. So goal 5 related to taking the lead on initiating environmental stewardship for the community. Key initiatives under this plan include the creation of an advisory committee and continuing to implement plans approved by council. So an environmental advisory committee was created that meets monthly. A work plan was created for this group, and there are currently 3 subcommittees that have been created, with one of these groups working on a municipal policy regarding the protection of trees and shorelines. And goal 6, last goal, speaks to continuing to build relationships for the community. So key elements under this goal include the establishment of a 4 council meeting and 2 of those have occurred now. And these meetings occur with Curve Lake, First Nation, North Kawartha, and Selwyn. And under this goal, there was a requirement to implement the volunteer policy and allowing volunteers, part of that is allowing volunteers to access some mandatory training. And some of this has been in person. And work continues on implementing the volunteer policy and improving relationships with this important group. So that is all I have for the council strategic plan update.
Okay.
If there are any questions,
Okay,
please.
does anyone on council have any comments or questions? Hey, Mayor Armstrong, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I do have a list, so if anybody else has things they want to interject for that, I defer.
I think you're okay. You can start and then maybe, sorry.
Yeah, I
Go ahead,
have
Councilor
just
Fennell.
one question. No, I don't mind waiting to Carol.
No, go
through
ahead.
her list.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering about the completion of the fire hall in 26. With the new political environment that we're in with tariffs, it may increase our cost substantially. It may limit the amount of material. The supply chain may be impacted. Is there any contingency on those political factors?
Go ahead. Donna,
Thank you,
if
and through you.
Yeah.
The design drawings have just been completed for this build, so it is plans that it goes to tender shortly through that process. I have had some discussions on the borrowing for that facility, and so those have gone well. So as far as the costs, Steve, or do you have anything to add, or Evan? Because I mean, that is really hard to foresee at this time.
Feel free. Now's the time to have the questions and answers.
I can just speak briefly through you. Mayor Lamstead to Councillor Franzen. Just in discussions with consultants, you really haven't seen anything yet out in the market because it is so new. So nobody really fully understands or knows what the impact is. It's similar when we went into COVID. I know when you went into COVID, it was, how are we going to be able to get certain things and stuff? And unfortunately, you don't know until you get out there into the market. We do have a building that was recently completed, and this, not other than 49, there's a similar type building in another municipality that was completed last summer or tendered last summer, but obviously things are going to change. So really don't know. One of the encouraging things that they have spoke to is that the contractors appear to be more hungry. A lot of the private projects and stuff don't seem to be going as quickly. So there's a lot of people that are hungry for work right now. So that might be a benefit. However, the cost of the materials could offset that. So I don't think anybody really knows, unfortunately, or too early into it to really get a full understanding. But like Donna said, we're getting pretty close to the tender phase. Just submitted or working on submitting the building permit here to get that process going. So, we're getting our ducks in a row to be able to do as much as we can to sort of mitigate those factors. However, have very little control of what happens.
Thank you very much, Edwin. Did you want to speak, Chief Rothway?
Through you, Mayor, to Council. Yeah, I agree with Evan. It is an unknown. This could be around for the next 4 years. So ultimately, that is a good question, is what is our plan going to be? Are we going to hold off? Or are we going to try and continue? Do we have to spread the project out longer? I think those are all the questions that we need to ask ourselves. So that's what we'll be looking into moving forward. I don't know, money might get a little easier to borrow, might be cheaper, but that doesn't offset the 25%. But I know that Evan and I have reviewed some things about Canadian suppliers versus not. So those are the things that I think we would need to look at. But some of those questions might be answered better by Bianca and Jesse's team as well on what we could ask for in the tendering processes, so to speak. Surprise, Jesse. We're gonna work on this together. But yeah, there's whether we can ask for certain things in the tendering process and whatnot that, or if that's something that council could put forth that we would like to work with Canadian suppliers versus someone else, then we could work with that. But
I think that's an opportunity. Thank you very much for those comments. Anyone? Go ahead, Councillor Braber.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. I agree with you, Steve, as far and Councillor Franzen's comments. With the climate that we're in now, it would be nice to sort of have some sort of costing spot checks as we move along. If the shovels are in the ground this year, it would be nice to sort of anticipate costing and always have that sort of a revolving, keeping the eye on the costs and the situation and that sort of thing, looking for, I guess, opportunities to find products and that sort of thing. So I don't know how we would build that in, Evan, as far as and having spot checks, and because we don't want to be surprised by
Thank you.
Maybe I can just build on that.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
I know the county is creating a line item in their financials for the impact of tariffs. So I don't know if all the municipalities have talked about it, but to the extent we can quantify what the impact of tariffs is on us, I just throw that out as something you might want to investigate.
Go ahead, Councillor Prince.
Yeah, through you, Mayor, I also think that we should develop a policy of buying Canadian wherever possible. I realize in the construction process, I-beams aren't produced in Canada. They may have to get it offshore or a US supplier, but I think for the most part, whenever we do a project, we should try to buy Canadian, and we should try to just use companies that are from Canada.
Thank you for your comments, Councillor Franzen. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, okay.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. You have a list.
I do.
Yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I did provide this to staff in advance, so none of these surprises.
Mhm.
First, I want to say that an enormous amount of work has been done. And I really want to thank everybody for plugging away at these many, many different priorities that we've thrown at you. Because it's not easy to be juggling those along with some of the shorter term priorities and emergencies and just the regular day-to-day business that you have to deal with. So you need to say that up front. So thank you for all of that. My questions are really more specific or detailed, but we don't often get a chance to open up the envelope and talk about this. So that's why I wanted to dig a little bit more on some of these things. So the first one, and Barb knows this, I'm hoping that out of the business process review of our business and planning department, we will get both some turnaround time metrics. And I realize a lot of it is out of control, Barb. You know, a lot of us, we don't get the right information, they don't give us the wrong information, et cetera. But still, when you're measuring the process, it's helpful to know what's the total time on average from start to finish. What's the time that we control once we have all the information. So, you can't manage what you don't measure. So I'm hoping the business process review will provide those kinds of metrics on the process. The other thing is, at the end of the day, what clients think. We've done a lot to improve the process, make it simpler, give them more information, answer questions. What is their feedback? So I think, again, any business process review should take a look at, are we meeting the customer's requirements? So not for us to do, but I think that's all part of business process review. So we'll have a better sense of that process. Thank you. Just throwing stuff around. Another question I had was heritage. I know we didn't have a community core committee. And so we didn't pursue that. That's the right decision. However, I just wonder if we as a municipality should be doing anything further in that area. And I recognize you need direction from council to do that and you don't have it, but I just kind of table that. I think, as we all know, some of our assets continue to age. And, unless or until we do something for the protection, many of them will be gone. So not making a recommendation here, but I think in a future council meeting, that's something we may want to, perhaps at the beginning of the next term or something, but I think it's something we may want to talk about. And we do have staff resources that are very skilled and expert in this area. So we're quite blessed in having that. So just table that for future discussion. We talked about digitizing records, great progress. It'd be helpful to know of all of the physical records we have, what percentage has been digitized. So just some output measures that would tell us, how much progress are we making on that. And you may want to do it by classification because I know you've classified them, but at the end of the day, what percent are digitized? Infrastructure, you referenced it. We talked all about physical infrastructure, but a pretty important aspect of our operations, technology infrastructure. And I hate to utter the words, but AI and other things. So I think we need to keep an eye on how we continue to ensure that our technology enables further efficiencies and productivity. And, we're not big enough to have an AI specialist, but we do to microwave to help us in trying to make sure we have that we're continuing to advance that where we are able to, resource-wise. Office addition, have we given up on that? Or shelved it, or kind of what would you say the status of that is?
Right. So through you, I think at $3 million, we paused it, and we think we can find some space by moving a couple of staff down here. So we're hoping, because that is a lot more than we had anticipated. And $3 million goes a long way to the fire hall build.
Right.
We need the space, we recognize that, but we think we can create some space doing that.
Okay. Suggest that might up to council for a decision.
A decision, sorry.
Deposit or not pursue it or whatever.
Okay, I think we did bring that to budget time.
We
I
did kind of
forget.
discuss that, but
Yeah, but I can't remember in what format, but we did bring that to you before, but.
Okay. Okay, then I was sleeping. Sorry.
That's okay.
it might be interesting that there might be some provincial funding coming forward here shortly for some infrastructure that's built infrastructure to help people work and keep working in Ontario. So this is hopefully some things that happen really soon in the future. Some financial assistance for, fire halls and works departments and things. So let's hope that does happen. That's not just hearsay at this point, but it's several million.
Okay, so pause. We talked about being an employer of choice and doing all the things that are appropriate to support our staff, making sure their continued learning and growth and promotions, et cetera. Tabled the idea of staff satisfaction survey. I guess we've done it in the past. I think it's not a bad idea to do that every so often,
I
at
agree.
least once a term.
Yeah.
It's different than performance reviews. We're really looking for, level of satisfaction and, where do we have gaps? What does staff think about how well we're doing on that? So I'd like to suggest that. I think that's it.
Oh, I think you're going to find one more. No.
Oh, I have some saved for all the others, for the other two.
Okay.
So I won't blow my entire
No,
time allotment now.
Completely agree with many of those points, Deputy Mayor Armstrong. I think it's important to have goals and have checks, and so we know how things are progressing. Those are great ideas. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Go ahead, Councillor Franz.
Yeah, I'd just like to expand on what Deputy Mayor Armstrong commented about AI. I think that we should develop a policy on AI. And I think maybe the assistance of our consultants and possibly the county, because I'm sure the county is going to have to work on the system, how to deal with AI. It's something that's coming and it's already here. And I was at a meeting where AI produced the minutes of the meeting.
Yeah.
So.
In seconds. Thank you, Councillor Franz. Go ahead, Councillor Graber.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. On the topic of AI, it's in its infancy. I just express caution, like developing, protocols and all that at this early stage. I'd like to see, more time with AI and work at the kinks and all that kind of thing. So I know it's coming, but it scares me because not all the AI is accurate. There's still inputs that go into the AI. So we just have to be careful and, not just jump right into the tub and rely on that 100%. So thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Graber. Okay, any other comments or questions on where we are so far? Seeing none, I think we can move ahead. Please, thank you. Oh, Barb, sorry, my apology.
To your main names, I was just going to touch on the comment that Deputy Mayor Armstrong made about permits. I did respond to her question, so she knows all the details, but I can tell you that I think that our department has made incredible strides over 2024 to streamline a lot of things. The anomaly, the variable is usually the plans. And I will say that I am pretty particular about plans, but I always say it's easier to fix things on paper than in the field. And with the new code that's come in, I'm just about done the Part 9 document that I'm going to be sending out to builders. But you know, we're into re-educating our builders again with the number of Part 9 changes that have come into play. Some of them are pretty significant, so they have to be done right. One has introduced a new inspection that has to be incorporated. But I did want to say that I know that metrics are a passion for Deputy Mayor Armstrong. So last year we had Cloud Permit modify the building module a little bit. So we do have metrics. We keep very close track of what everybody does, including the time Derek spends doing the zoning review. The only one that isn't in there is Amber's time because it's not something that can be logged in there. So, but we can tell you right down to the minute how long it takes to get a permit out. The thing is, it's not one size fits all. So I gave an example of 3 different homes that I happened to pull up yesterday when I answered her question, and they were pretty good size homes. House 1 took 7 hours plus Amber's time. So that could be 1 to 2 hours she spent with that person before it even got into the gate. House 2 was 6 hours and house 3 was 11 hours. So that's kind of an average. So I'm thinking that I can probably pull a report together pretty easy based on 2024, going through the permits that we've issued and coming up with those kinds of numbers, if that's something you'd like.
Thank you, Barb. I'm hoping that the consultant can do some of that work that you don't have to do. And I would think that's part of their process. But anyway, thank you very much for the very detailed response. And it helps understand. So I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Just, was that planning and building hours in each?
In each building permit?
Yes.
It includes like when the site plan goes to Derek
Yes.
for review.
Yep.
It includes his time.
Okay. But not inspections and all of that. I would think that would be dozens of hours.
That's just to get the permit out
Yeah,
the door.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
So, but we can figure the other part out.
Okay, good. Thank you, Barb. Okay. Now I better look at everybody before I ask any more questions. Any more? No more questions? I think we can proceed to the next item.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. I'm going to be providing a summary of the goals of our Economic Development, Tourism, and Recovery Strategic Plan and the actions we've completed to date. Rather than individually go through each slide, as many of the action items intertwine with each other, I've just prepared a summary of the 4 main goals within the plan. So the first goal of the plan is to improve the commercial core of Buckhorn to better support residents and visitors. Much of the action items are long-term goals that continue to be in process. The streetscape goal is primarily led by recreation and facilities, which they will speak to more on the open spaces plan shortly. But in addition, in 2024, Trent Lake submitted a funding application to the Rural Transit Solutions Fund. Through this application, staff worked with the Buckhorn Community Center, Citizens for Alternative Transportation, Selwyn Township, Curve Lake First Nation, and Peterborough County to design an intermodal hub to provide access to zero-emission transportation, including vehicle charging stations, bicycle rentals, connecting trails, and an off-leash dog park. This application did end up being unsuccessful. However, the consultations taking place will aid in future funding programs as we continue to explore rural transportation options, in addition to furthering discussions with surrounding townships on opportunities for collaboration. At the beginning of this year, a rural transportation working group was formed by Peterborough County and has representatives from each township. Conversation is in the early stages, but the county and townships are collaborating on ways we can provide better transportation options for those in rural areas. The group is currently watching for funding opportunities to hire a consultant to create a plan for rural transportation across the townships. The plan's second goal is to be a 4-season tourism destination. This goal strongly focuses on the collaboration between the municipality and its residents, visitors, and organizations. Throughout the last couple of years, staff continued to build its relationship with the Buckhorn District Tours Association through attending its events and collaborating on communications. Staff continue to look for opportunities to support the BDTA, including currently looking into funding for a digital kiosk for the Welcome Center, as well as sharing our photo and video assets. With services transitioning from Peterborough and the Kawarthas Economic Development to Peterborough County, I now meet monthly or more with the Economic Development staff to discuss initiatives, including tourism and the desire to increase visitation in the winter months. At the end of 2024, the tourism staff of Peterborough County visited Trent Lakes, and we discussed strategies towards achieving this. The key point made in the discussion was to utilize our area largely focused on short-term rentals and creating a plan to promote winter getaways in these rentals, along with collaborating with local businesses to create getaway packages and unique experiences. Peterborough County has created a dedicated tourism social media page and has revamped the kawarthas.ca website, which will soon be available for businesses across each township to submit their business to the directory and add events to the tourism calendar, which will further their promotion to tourists. I've joined a working group under the Economic Development Committee focused on creating tourism initiatives for all of the townships. At the moment, we are looking into a subscription for a scavenger hunt type app for visitors to tour around the municipality, leading to more shopping at our local businesses. Should this move forward, I will be reaching out to interested businesses and discussing ways they may be able to collaborate. We would be looking to run the event from around May to October of this year. Trent Lakes took part in tourism talks last October, which allowed anyone in the community to attend a roundtable to discuss opportunities and challenges surrounding tourism in our region. This allowed our community members to further connect with each other and for us as staff to better understand what is needed as we build on our tourism strategies. Trent Lakes will be taking part in the Local Advantage pop-up series that Peterborough County has started. For this pop-up, one day a month in Trent Lakes, Economic Development staff, Peterborough County, Community Futures Peterborough, the Innovation Cluster, and any other relevant organizations will be able to come together at one of our community centers and be available for a full morning to provide services to any business owner or community member that may drop in. Individuals may attend to simply learn about services offered throughout the county or to inquire about resources specific to their business, such as access to business loans and advisory. The third goal in this plan is to develop a business-friendly municipality that supports existing businesses and is open to new business. As one of the action items, staff and council continue to educate and immerse themselves in economic development through annual conferences and workshops. Staff also reviewed previous committee terms of references and updated accordingly, then brought forward a report outlining various options to proceed, with a staff recommendation to not move forward with an EDAC committee during this term of council. Council approved this recommendation and will relook at the EDAC opportunity in 2026. Another part of this goal, the planning department looks to continue for ways to make development a smooth process, such as providing frequently asked questions and details on our website and providing clear communications in 2024 regarding the notice for increased planning fees. Staff continue to ensure there are adequate financial and staff resources in place to complete the actions laid out in this plan and report on updates to the plan in the quarterly reports. There is also a commitment to provide an update on the plan status at the upcoming November budget meeting. On the topic of employment lands, the clerk recently reviewed and documented all vacant land for the township. Peterborough and the Kawarthas Economic Development was previously a leader in exploring employment lands across the county. Now that these services have transitioned to Peterborough County, the county will be notifying townships when developers have expressed interest, and staff will collaborate from there. Trent Lakes continues to monitor the high-speed internet projects in our area, which are set to be complete between April to December of this year. We will ensure updates are communicated to the community on completed projects and any timeline changes that may occur. This goal also speaks to updating the community improvement plan. Trent Lakes took on a consultant in 2024 who worked with the municipality to complete a full review of the 2017 plan. A new draft CIP was created with 6 new and improved financial incentive programs. The draft was presented at an open house, which was well attended by business owners and interested community members in the area. Staff were able to obtain feedback from the community following the open house, along with communications online for the consultant to incorporate into the final draft. Council presented the final CIP, which was approved and is now available. Staff this year will be reaching out to all eligible businesses and property owners within the boundary to discuss the programming. Marketing materials have been created and will be available at relevant sites and brought to these meetings. The fourth goal in this plan is to build community through cohesiveness. Shortly after the creation of this plan, the municipality created a long-term vision for Trent Lakes. In 2024, a designer was brought on to create brand assets and guidelines to expand upon our current logo, which has begun implementation across municipal content as of January this year and will continue to be promoted in external communications. The municipality was able to promptly reinstate joint council meetings with Selwyn Township, North Kawartha, and Curve Lake First Nation in 2023 and are continuing on an annual basis. Staff continue to reach out to businesses throughout the year regarding any new opportunities from surrounding organizations such as the Chamber of Commerce or Community Futures Peterborough. 2 business owners were successfully connected to Community Futures Peterborough in 2024 and were accepted into programming to aid them in growing their business. Community Futures Peterborough also attended Trent Lakes in January to meet interested businesses on site for both parties to learn more about each other and the services provided. Lastly, communications is a large part of this goal, and in 2023, staff were able to complete both an internal and external communication strategy, which began implementation right away. The key success from enhanced communications include the monthly newsletter, which is sent out to the public and has amassed over 1,300 subscribers so far. That is just a brief summary of the action items completed to date, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Okay, does anyone have any comments or questions? Deputy Mayor Armstrong, go ahead.
Does anybody else want to go first?
I think you're okay.
Okay. First of all, thanks a lot, Rachel. I think everybody would have to say that our communications have just expanded exponentially. We heard some really good feedback during halls that we held this summer. So I think you've done a superb job on that. So thank you very much. Economic development is it's a tough area, and I made this little speech at county. At the end of the day, it's all about creating jobs and improving, the revenues that come into the township. So it's about keeping businesses, attracting businesses, helping them expand, increasing the number of jobs, et cetera. So those are really, as you pointed out, Barb, the metrics that you would use to determine have we been successful in our economic development strategy. I know it's very difficult to attribute our actions with number of jobs and businesses, but that is the end goal. So I think we need to keep that in mind, that it's not about all the activities, it's about the outcome. Have we really improved the local economy of Trent Lakes? Having said that, a couple of suggestions. Sorry, let me just go back to undertake a cultural mapping exercise to better understand local stories, practices, relationships, memories, and rituals. I would suggest we do more outreach. We have a number of residents in all of the areas of the municipality who have deep ties to this community. They have lots of stories, they have lots of memorabilia. I think we're not tapping into that as much as we could or should. They are more than willing to help us with some of the things that they know and can share. And I'm thinking of, the Janet Clarksons, I'm thinking of the Marie Windovers. So there are many of them who would gladly help us out, and we're just not tapping into that. So that's my first suggestion. Secondly, I'm glad to hear that we're going to do our CIP marketing in person. I mean, we're talking 12 to 15 businesses at most who could benefit from this program. So the personal one-on-one is the only way to effectively market that. I know you want the materials to go along with that, but I think that's, the right approach is the personal one. Maybe it's pulling them together, maybe it's one-on-one, but it's got to be in person. You suggested getting a consultant to understand what businesses we have. We don't need a consultant. I mean, call me. We can get the membership list from BDTA. We can get the membership list from the Chamber. If we want statistical information, we can go to AMAFRA and use their analyst tool. We can go to Rural Ontario Institute, who now have community profiles. So there are lots of sources. It would take a day. We don't need a consultant to do that. And McSweeney did a fair amount of work when they did their studies as well. So let's not move to consultants so readily. Let's do it again in-house with the available resources. Let me just check. I think those are the only comments or questions that I had. I think we just need to use our community resources more because they're out there. I made another pitch to the BDTA last night to come in and do a presentation to council. They are the first point of contact for most of the visitors that come to Trent Lakes. They had thousands of visitors come into the Welcome Center last year, and they can tell us what are the questions that visitors most ask. The first one is, where are the trails that we can go to? So they are a wealth of information, and we're not, we should use that. Again, they would welcome sharing that because that's what they do full time. So I think that's with BDTA as a resource, some of our residents are a resource. I think we just need to do more outreach and tap into that. You can't do it yourself. And we need to utilize those resources to help us make progress so that we can, at the end of the day, say, we created, or we have in the municipality, 20 more jobs than we did 2 years ago, or we now have 30 more businesses, or businesses or commercial percentage of our tax base is now more than 3% or whatever it is. It's 5% when you count all the nonprofits, but it's grown to 8%. So we now have business supporting our tax revenues, and we have less reliance on our individuals. So those are the kind of metrics that we need to ultimately measure and get to. So soapbox speech ended. Thank you.
Well, I think that some of your points are very valid. We need to figure out, because we have several businesses right now that are trying to expand in our municipality. So that's a good sign that we're doing something right. And I think that needs to be kind of monitored a little bit. So great idea. Go ahead, Councilor Braber.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Just a comment, Rachel. Just wanted to share with you some of the residents' feedback regarding communication. Because I remember a year and a half ago when you first, 2 years ago, that we had some issues with constant complaining about communication and whatnot. That's dropped off. And in fact, there's more confidence coming in. So it's a testament to your efforts. So just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you very much.
Bad cop here?
For a change.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've discussed with the snowmobile clubs. They had a great year. They had a few weeks of good snowmobile,
Yeah.
so there's lots of growth there. So
Actually, interested, if I may.
Yes.
I got a call, an email from the president of it, Gord, who saw in my newsletter that we did community grants. He said, "Oh, gee, would we be eligible for that?" I said, "Perfect fit. Come on in. We
Yeah.
want you to be more involved in the community." So yes, they're an excellent resource.
excellent. Okay, any other comments or questions for Rachel? I'm seeing none. Okay, we can move on to our next section. Thank you very much, Rachel. It's still enough.
You can share the spotlight with me, Don.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mayor and Council. You guys have had a chance to review here. This is kind of a bit of a status update on our open spaces master plan. So we're progressing pretty well through, continue to provide washroom seasonal at Oneg Park. There's never was plans to take them out, kind of an easy win there. We've always had the directional signage for Adam and Eve Rocks, again, just things that were automatically completed. We did donate Adam and Eve Rocks as an official park with the updated parks bylaw the council passed last year. We installed some seating there in 24 as well. As council knows, we have the Lakers Hall Lower Bowl in progress. So we do have construction drawing for those. We're working with Cambium to do a noise impact study in preparation for a zoning bylaw amendment. We hope that that's going to be successfully installed this year, pending obviously all of the zoning bylaw implications that come along with that project. We adopted several strategies last year at council. Trails maintenance formed part of our recreational level of service document, our trails construction. You can skip to the next one. Conduct a study to develop T18 into accessible trails. So T18 is the trail that goes from Adam and Eve Rocks to the Buckhorn Community Center. So there's an existing trail there already. It's just the question of, can we make it a little bit more accessible friendly, and what would be involved in that? We did lose our coordinator about halfway through last year, so that set us back on a few of the items involved. So this being one, we've done some preliminary work on it, but picking up that workload, we didn't get to complete that work in 24, as well as our open spaces promotion strategy. So that's kind of promoted to the public what we have, what we can offer. And I believe Nate has now reached out to Rachel, and they're going to work together on that early part of this year. Our signage strategy, we did experience a little delay to that due to the branding. I didn't want to go out and develop a signage strategy without knowing what our brand looked like. So now we have that. So we're expecting to see a strategy develop this year and signage in the ground by the end of the year. Council did fund that through our 25 budget. Moving on, our online trails portal. So I've been working with the county over 24 to develop this. They've got all the backbone in there. I did provide the branding to them there in the early part of 2025, and I'm hoping they're going to give me a finished product back to present to council, hopefully in Q2. I did recently just follow up with them to see where they are at that, but I haven't received a response. We adopted a public washroom strategy, which kind of has some immediate goals for 2024, increasing the awareness around where public washrooms are in Trent Lakes and making them more pleasant to members of the public. We transitioned to Maintain X instead of Esri. In meeting with the county, they felt that Esri was not the right platform, so that's their GIS platform. And in doing so, actually we came from one of the public works staffers about Maintain X, and we dug into it some more, and we actually kind of fell in love with it. And so we've implemented that. It cut the cost of our kind of work order software in half. So that was a double win on that one, and it fits our operation better. Signage at Adam and Eve Rocks for 25, that'll obviously form part of our signage strategy. Our Lakers Trail, we've got an environmental impact study involved for that, because there are several wetlands along the trail, and we're working with the Minister of the Environment to come up with a strategy on how we mitigate that moving forward. Due to the delays with the Lakers Hall Lower Bowl, there is the possibility that that project could run into 2026. We've obviously raised the money for that through taxes already, so that would be available for us in the future. Our concept plan for Detman Park. So we would look to hire a consultant that would do some public consultation, see what the public would want to see up in that area. It's about a 25-acre parcel of land. It's probably 80% wooded. There's a large green space there as well. There's plenty of opportunities. And then that will be available with hopefully some cost estimates for council's consideration to implement in the future at some point in time. The trail from Adam and Eve Road to Buckland Community Center, that is T18. Given that we are deferred the evaluation of the accessibility of it, that's gonna kind of have to move forward as well as the Crows Line Beach Connection. The Crows Line Beach Connection is essentially an on-road route, and we want to do that in consultation with our Public Works Department and kind of make sure that all of the needs of the roads department and the traffic considerations that go on with having potentially increased pedestrian traffic are taken care of. Signage out Nang Park, obviously going to be part of the signage strategy, and that includes the interpretive signage as well. I've got a lot of recommendations here, apparently. The Trent Lakes Trail Committee, so I'd like to see that be a working group that we kind of start to work on towards the end of this year for implementation early in 2026. And then a lot of the following items that are listed here, I think are great things for them to work on, because it's going to be a lot of background work. It's going to be a lot of networking involved. And I think if we have a group of dedicated volunteers and subject matter experts, I think those are some of these next few tasks here are a great fit for that thing. I won't bother to read any further in here on those particular ones. You will notice there are several trails at the end there, T13, T19, T20. They are all trails that we reached out to that cross private land. We reached out to those landowners when we first brought forward the implementation plan to council about a year and a half ago. And it was a pretty resounding no, we don't want trails on our property. So given that, I didn't feel there was any reason to pursue that any further at this time. We get down the road and we've really developed trails in Trent Lakes, and there's a lot more public buy-in, that we might have a little bit more kind of ground to stand on the benefits of trails, and maybe we'll be able to reapproach that at that time. So I would happy to take any questions.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dylan. Okay, does anyone have any comments or questions for Dylan? Councilor Braver, go ahead.
Thanks to you, Mayor. Did you have something, Deputy Mayor?
Of course.
Okay. I only have just a comment, Dylan. I know I've shared this with you before. I know there's a lot of behind the scenes back and forth between yourself and I about the one project, but I just appreciate it. I'd like to pass on the Lakers Hall board's thanks to you for your passion about the project specifically, and we have the utmost confidence that you're trying to get it through as quick as you can, but obviously we have our natural challenges with,
For sure.
with whether it be internal or external. So thanks very much.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments or questions? Not looking at our deputy mayor. Councilor Franklin, go ahead.
This may not be related, but do you have any update on Deer Bay School?
Through you, Mayor. I have been hounding my consultant pretty well 3 times a week to get it, and I've been told that within the next day or two, he's going to have me something. So I'm hoping in April, I'll bring a report forward to council with their findings. That's my hope.
Okay, thank you very much for that update. Thank you for the question, Councilor Francis. And I think we can go to Deputy Mayor Armstrong. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks, Dawn. You actually answered questions that I had, like, well, just T118, no, 113, 118. Now I know. Glad to hear we're doing something in Detman Park. It's really quite a lovely asset, and it'd be nice to do something in Galway so that they don't feel completely neglected. So I think that will be a really positive thing for us to move forward. And the signage, I did hear you say that it would be in the ground this year. So that was my other question. Nice to have a strategy, but at the end of the day, we need the signs out there. So 2 comments. One is about Catchcoma and the forest there. I know you're working with a couple of groups. I just wanted to make sure you touch base with the Catchcoma Forest Committee. I forget the guy who heads it. Tim Spence is on it, but somebody else who heads it up. And they have gotten some monies from, I think the Rotary Club at Peterborough to do some signage. So there's some things happening there that you might be able to coordinate with on
Okay.
that. And the other thing, and I guess it's more in the future, is working with the Gordon District Snowmobile Club and Horth ATV Club for potential of shared use of all their trails. 'Cause in Cavendish, they're all over the place. We don't need new trails. There are tons of trails. It's just a question of access, multiple users, signage, et cetera, et cetera. A little bit in Galway, not as much. But, rather than recreating the wheel, how can we work with them? And I know Kate, the ATV people are very open to having multiple different kinds of users on their trails. The Snowmobile Club, not so much, but but we can still work with them.
It's nice to work together.
Sure.
And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Any further questions? I just have a comment. I think, Dylan, the strategy is working well, and I think we're moving forward with many items, and I appreciate all the effort that you and your staff have put into this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Donna Taggart.
Sorry, through you. I just wanted to comment just to set up expectations. The tender for the build in Buckhorn, our purchasing staff haven't seen yet. We just finished the design drawing. So just to let you know, there is a process still that has to happen. So just to give that opportunity as well. So I didn't want to set up unrealistic expectations there because they certainly need to do their work on it too.
Okay.
So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? I see Deputy Mayor Armstrong.
Yeah, I just wanted to, if I may, thank you through Deputy or Mayor Lamson, just a sort of a summary question. There are many stakeholders for these plans. There's the public, obviously. There's council, but there's also staff. You're the ones who have to do the work. So I just wanted to do kind of sense check, say, how are the three of you feeling about these strategic plans? Do they still make sense? Are you feeling good about what we are able to accomplish? Are you feeling good about the things that are still yet to be done? Are you panicked? Are you feeling good about it? So it's really just a sense check, because you are one of the three major stakeholders, and I think it's important that we gauge what your your feeling is about it.
Do any of you have any feelings about this?
I hate feelings.
That you care to share?
Opinions. Let me rephrase. I don't like feelings.
They're appropriate.
Opinions, input, feedback, objective.
The room went quiet. Go ahead, Dylan. Go ahead, Barb.
I'll take a step. Through your Mayor Lamson. So my thought about plans in general, whether it's a strategic plan, work plan, whatever, a plan is great to have. Is it easy to follow all the time? No, because there's so many anomalies that come at us during the year. And in my world in particular, my world is a little bit different from the other departments in that I have very strict timelines I'm supposed to comply with. So they take precedent above everything else. So I can have this amazing work plan that all these things I would like to get done, but this is the most important thing. So it's great to think ahead and think into the future and how can we streamline things? How can we make things better? What could we add to our lineup to make things better? It's great to have those things in plan, but when it comes down to the brass tacks of getting work done, there's certain things that take precedent for me. So I guess when I'm just doing my review for myself right now, and one of the comments I made today was that I'm not a micromanager. I don't believe in micromanaging. I don't think it turns out good employees. I think that you giving your employees the latitude to develop their own skills helps you as a leader to make your department better, because they're bringing things to you that you may not have thought of. So when you have this work plan in front of me, for example, in order for me to get all of this done, I can't do it on my own. I need to share the workload. But I have to keep in mind that I have certain things that I have to put at the top of the list, and there's certain things that stay at the bottom of the list. If they get done, they get done. These are the most important things for me to get done, and that's just the reality of my world. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It's to me.
It's good.
The things you have to do. Thank you, Barb. Okay, Dylan, go ahead.
Thanks for, through Mayor, thank you to Deputy Mayor Armstrong for inviting us to share our thoughts. I guess I would just say, like, we obviously have a very big list here in front of us. It's somewhat intimidating, I would say, but it just kind of harkens back to one of council's strategic priorities to have the right staff in place. And I think that's important to have. And secondly is something we've found in the last couple projects surrounding grants. Grants are awesome. Grants save the taxpayer a lot of money. But if you don't have it shovel ready, it's very challenging and you find you're playing catch up getting the project done within the time frame you specified in the grant. So I would really encourage council to consider getting projects to that shovel ready state. Yes, I know building codes and different codes can change, but there's things like zoning, time of year, there's archaeological things that need to be done. Those are a couple of the items that we've experienced in the last couple projects that have challenged us in terms of the grants. We've had great grant suppliers and they've been able to extend things for us, which has been great. But if that didn't happen, we could be putting that grant at risk. So taking the time to invest a little bit of money ahead of time and time ahead of time to making sure the grant, you're ready for the grant and you've got kind of those solid numbers and the zonings in place and you've done all your studies and things like that kind of gets the ball rolling a lot easier.
And then, thank you very much, Dylan. I think in many of those aspects of it can delay the project for extended periods of time. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. We should be more diligent on that. I see Councilor Braber, go ahead. You had a question?
Yeah, through you, Mary. It was just more of a, when you mentioned as far as council, like what can we as council do to sort of get it shovel ready? Are there things that we're sort of not doing on our part?
Three, Mayor.
Answer carefully.
It is staff's job to do that, but I guess it would be the patience to bear with us. So, a project gets passed and then we hear, let's apply for grants. And then we've got the grant applied for and it's happened and it's already, money's ready to come in. So it's just the patience to see the lead up through, I guess is all. We appreciate your support.
So we back off the grants. Can we get a grant for that to let you do more of your work? To come to us saying, okay, we've done our work, we're ready for that grant now? Is that?
Yeah, through Mayor. Yeah, I'm trying to think how to word this. Certainly encourage us to apply for grants. We always are going to want to apply for grants. But recognize when we say that, let's slow down for a second and say, maybe we need 30 grand this year to do X, Y, Z studies. Let's just do that. And then we'll apply for a grant in the next budget term versus apply for the grant right in this term. And then we're kind of locked in.
Gotcha.
And that puts undue pressures on you too, to get all the studies and things done and zoning bylaw amendments done before you can get the grant money. So I think that's a lot of pressure that we may be able to help with. So we should prioritize, get the studies done, then apply for the grant rather than jump right into the grant immediately. Thank you for that information. And Chief Brockbank, do you have any comments or questions that you're allowed to tell us?
Through you, Mayor, thank you. And as well, thank you, Deputy Mayor Armstrong, for asking us these questions. Ultimately, I agree with Barb and Dylan both. Some days, yes, Councillor Franzen asks a question about the fire hall and what's it going to cost. And those are the questions that we can't answer. We think about them every day and night, ultimately. But what it really dictates the direction of the project as well. So Dylan says and Barb says there's so many avenues that a project can go, and there's so many players involved. I'm just speaking of the one project specifically, but a lot of that stuff isn't in our control. Even getting quotes for equipment or material today from COVID forth has been a challenge. Because a supplier might only be, a quote could be good for 15 days, but it might take you 5 or 6 to get the quote back. You know what I mean? So it's those types of things. The grant process, yes, we know that there's grants out there. We know we need to apply for them. We have good resources in-house to do all that stuff for us. It's not that we're not thinking about it. It's great to have the reminders. For my department specifically, there's the emergency services side of it as well. So it's that 24/7 on-call working with volunteers in a huge area. So you could be out working all night with your staff, but you still have to meet the deadlines and the reports and all those things. So sometimes it could be difficult. My report this afternoon for the M&R agreement is an example. It had to come to this meeting instead of the past meeting just because of events that took place. But other than that, it's great to have the support, and I feel confident that we can come forward and say, I don't have time for that at the moment, and we need more time or whatever, but that's me specifically. But yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Go ahead. I think you might have a question here.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Sorry, just a quick question about when you mentioned that you're 24/7 and you attend most of the calls yourself as well. Is there anything that we can do to alleviate, to allow you to, finish your administrative responsibilities and that sort of thing? Coming overnight, doing an all-nighter into having to sit all day and complete your administrative responsibilities. I know how that is, and it's not fun. So is there anything that we can do, or we can advocate on your behalf when we do attend Roma or AMO and that sort of thing, and when we're sitting before the ministry representatives, if there's anything we can do?
Yeah.
Best practices.
Right. So through you, Mayor, thank you for the question. Council is quite supportive, staff's supportive. We do have, you know what I mean? It's, I'm like Barb, she has her methods as a manager for her team. My method is that I like to be there standing with them to give them support. So I don't go to every call. There's 600 calls a year now that we attend. So I don't go to all of them, mind you, but the ones that I feel important that you need to, or if we don't have staffing, because we do work off of volunteers that, you know what I mean? It's difficult. And if we have our full-time staff working at training all hours and training on weekends and all that stuff, then it's hard for them to be here during the week as well, right? But so we provide a great level of service to the community, but that takes time and resources and stuff. So you've spoke for us at Roma and delegations and stuff like that. But yeah, there's all that stuff that filters down to the lower tier municipalities that we have no control over. So that gets piled on to maintain what we do have, but sometimes it's more than it needs to be, obviously. The certification is one, ultimately. I'm only as good as my staff as well, and you're only as good as your people, and that's the way it is ultimately. But
we can get you an extra, take your laptop.
Right. Yeah, I have one on my hip, actually.
That's one right there. That's
Keep
about
up with
that.
everything in
Yeah.
between,
Yeah, and ultimately it's the expectation. It's what you create. So if people expect you there and you're not there, then you hear about it the other way. So ultimately, that's great. But yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Evan, do you have any comments? Just to.
Thank you, Mayor Lamb, said through you, Mayor. Echo everybody else's comments. Appreciate the ability to come up and speak. Me personally, I mean, with the strategic plans, there's not too many road specific items in there. I do personally feel supported by council. I know sometimes as senior management, you get frustrated with the amount of work you get from council. But I find that if you present something to council saying, you know, this is why we couldn't get it done, you guys are very reasonable that way. So to feel supported. Just to echo Steve's comment about expectation, I think that's one of the biggest things we're facing in public works is the expectations, specifically expectations of residents. You do have residents that, you know, move from more urban areas where they have a certain level of service and they come to the country and expect that same level of service. However, what I've found with, conversations with various councillors and mayors, you guys understand when I give you a reasoning on why things weren't done, you guys are very supportive. So it's, just balancing that expectations. But overall, the strategic plans, I think they're good. It gives us some sort of vision to work towards, to understand, what, as Trent Lakes, what is our vision? What are we trying to achieve at the end of the day? What are sort of our highlights that, when you look at something, whether it's a plan of a build of a new building or purchasing a new vehicle, how does this sort of align with the municipality's overall vision? So it does help to have these moments and these conversations just to understand of what your guys' perspective are, as well as what our different documents are speaking to. But overall, like I said, I don't really have many plans or specific road plans that tie into this sort of stuff, but I do feel supported by you guys and appreciate, the reasonable, how reasonable you guys are just overall. That, if you guys say we need this report and you come back and you say, hey, we did this, this is where we're at, this is why it's not completed, you guys are very reasonable. I don't, we don't get, me personally, I don't get a lot of crazy middle of the night calls from counselors and stuff like that. We do have some back and forth, but it's all reasonable. And like I said, you guys are all, your expectations, I believe, of staff are very reasonable and you guys are good to work with. So overall, there's not a whole lot. But yeah, it's just that managing of expectations of the public, because that's the biggest thing. But like I said, it's something that's ever changing, and every day is a new day and you're facing new issues and struggles. Like this past winter, we haven't had a winter like that, and it's been a while. So, just working through that. But I think overall, just as Steve referenced, we're only as good as our guys. I have a great group of guys out there that go out there, take pride in what they do and get the job done the best that they can with the resources that they have. And to get those resources that they have the support of council. So, we have good replacement on our trucks and stuff like that. So that's very much appreciated. Following the asset management plan and things like that, those plans that are in place really help us to say, especially for me personally, to the guys, this is when the plan is, we're getting a new truck in this many years, or, this building is planned for this time, sort of thing. And that really helps just to have those plans in place. That helps me personally as management to say to my guys, this is when we can expect certain things to be done. So personally, getting that 49 built was a huge milestone because it was something that had been discussed for many, many years. So I think it sort of gave the guys a little more faith. Not that they didn't have faith in council, but faith that, big projects can get done, that we can do these types of projects, and that it's not just going to be, kicked down the road. So.
Thank you very much, Evan. That's greatly appreciate the comments. Rachel, do you have anything to comment?
Sure. Through you, Mayor. I think the active plan is going well and the action items are still relevant and will be for the next few years to complete it. I would say my role is unique, balancing economic development and communications. And as much as I try to keep it 50-50, communications often takes over because it's ever changing and urgent. So sometimes economic development initiatives, end up kind of more to the side. So it's harder to tackle those larger strategies. But to Deputy Mayor's point, utilizing the community members to achieve those will be really helpful in the next couple of years. So I think just focusing on that and we'll be good.
Good. Excellent. Thank you very much, Rachel. And Donna.
Jesse.
Well, I get the pen in the head. Jesse, how was your department?
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
That's it?
I think Corporate Services Department appreciates the plans. It helps to focus our work and our projects to kind of stay between the bumpers that you've given us. And I guess I would just challenge council to continue to keep these plans front of mind when new projects come up, knowing that we've planned work around these, and adding new things either means less focus on these plans that you've identified as important or reshifting of focus. So.
Well done.
You're trying to get us to concentrate on things. Oh, shiny. Oh. Thank you. Thank you. Any comments for Jesse or questions for Jesse? Seeing none. Donna, would you like to?
Yes, actually, Bianca, do you want to say anything about it?
I mean, Jess and I talk about everything, so I feel like she said it. She said it well. I feel the same. I think we all feel the same in the room. Just like understanding kind of like the limitations that we have and the responsibilities that we have as staff. And just recognizing that when we come forward, it's not to be difficult, it's not to be, to challenge any authority. It's really just to give that perspective that staff was what we're hired to do. So yeah, just remembering that when our reports come forward and kind of the perspectives that we take in our work. So that would be my feedback.
I think it's on us as council to make very accurate, detailed motions so that there isn't that ambiguity, so staff know exactly what we were asking. Because sometimes we just blurt something out and it's what we meant, but it doesn't give good direction. I think we have to make sure we give good direction to our staff members that are relevant in that item. Thank you very much, Bianca. Go ahead, Councillor Braber. I wasn't looking at you in particular. You weren't? Okay. I'm like, no.
No, I think we work through, like, especially with motions, what I've noticed, if we're not clear on a motion, and Jesse helps out to ensure that she's clear and Bianca's clear and everybody's clear on it so that we come up with a final finished product of direction and that sort of thing. So I think it's good how we interact, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Donna, would you like to speak?
Thank you. So I agree with everything that has been said. I also wanted to mention that you will shortly be hearing, we did have an opportunity and we'll have a discussion, a firm called Grant Match is out there and they will apply for grants for us. There is a fee involved in that. So I'm going to have them come and present to you. We can make some decisions there, but it could take some of that off of staff, but there is a fee only if they're successful. So we can have that conversation. It's always been important to me in this role to support staff, and it's the people that do the work. And I've always been clear that that group is very important. And when this exercise came about, it definitely created some work for us. But when I saw the work that's been done, obviously there's some things that still need to happen, but we're coming along really well. So I'm really proud of staff for that. And I was going to say what Jesse said, and that it can be challenging for staff if council add extra duties along the way. And I would comment that, there is a report on the agenda today, and then that happened, and that took, probably a week of staff time. And then some of the initiatives in this don't get completed, and, we want to carry through. And we understand that there are times that happens, and we're here to support that, but just keeping in mind as council that when you do add extra, because, it's important for us to be thorough in what we give to you, and that really takes going that extra mile so everything involved in what has been requested. So we thank you. Yeah, we appreciate it very much. And I certainly feel supported as well and am proud of this group. Thank you.
I think I can speak for council, and I think we are all very proud of this group and all the things that we can accomplish, and working together with some back and forth, and that's necessary. And don't ever feel that you can't contact us, because that's what we're here for too. Thank you very much to all the staff. Thanks for all these reports. Excellent. Anyone else have any comments? Go ahead, Councillor Braber.
Gee, Mayor, just a comment to Donna specifically. I know me coming, and I'm still learning, and came in this cold. But I can honestly say from my previous industry that you're probably one of the best managers that I've had the pleasure working short under. And with just as far as your communication skills and your balance, your emotional balance and that sort of thing, it keeps a lot of, it drops the temperature of a lot of tumultuous issues and that sort of thing. So thank you.
Very much appreciate that.
And you can't retire, so.
Yeah, unanimous. Yeah, unanimous.
We've had that conversation several times. Thank you for that comment, Councillor Braber.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? I'm seeing none. I think we can move on now to item 5 of our agenda. Oh, yes, right. Yeah. I would entertain a motion to receive all the presentation. Councillor Cadigan for a mover, Councillor Franzen for a seconder. Any further conversation? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. And we can move on to item 5 of our agenda, which is adjournment. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn? I'm going to stay of the day. Councillor Braybrick for a mover. Councillor Franzen for a seconder. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, staff. Thank you. I don't think we have anyone in the gallery. We have people.